This is the Olfactory Cell Student Project, brought to you by John Brown, who is a student at the Wizard Institute at Wildwood High School. This project was consulted by his teacher, Joe Wise, and me, Jim Pike of Game Desk. All right, let's go take a look at the olfactory cell that me and John built together. John taught me all the science that goes into why we smell, and I built it into Minecraft. So let's start off with the molecule. This minecart is the molecule. When you breathe in, it's going to go up into the nose and through the slime patch. And then it's going to land on the receptor of the transmembrane protein. When it lands on the receptor, the transmembrane protein is going to send a signal. That's this minecart here. That's going to travel through the inside and the outside of the membrane 7 times before finally hitting a place where it's going to trigger a G protein to come meet it. The G protein is everything you see in green down here. There is a gamma unit, a beta unit, and an alpha unit, and we're really going to pay attention to the alpha unit of the G protein. The alpha unit comes loaded with GDP, and when it gets triggered by when it meets up with the transmembrane protein, it swaps it out for GTP. You can see that right here. You see how the blue glass is on the green and the lapis solid block is on the yellow? They're going to switch. When that happens, it's going to trigger this dispenser to put a GTP into this minecart, and that's going to represent the alpha unit breaking away from the rest of the G protein and traveling through the cell before it finally meets up with adenylyl cyclase. Once adenylyl cyclase gets the GTP, it will start taking ATP out of the cell and converting it into CAMP, or cyclic AMP. That is shown by this machine that pushes gravel, triggering these minecarts, which is going to be the camp. Now that camp is being produced in the cell, it will land on a protein called protein kinsate. Protein kinsate has 4 receptors for camp. When all 4 receptors are full, it breaks into 2 parts, shown in here, and those 2 parts will trigger the ion channel. The ion channel comes on the inside of the cell. There is sodium, that's Na in the diamond blocks. And on the outside of the cell is potassium. When the ion channel is triggered, potassium will shoot in and sodium will shoot out. When enough potassium is in the cell, it triggers a signal that goes here, and it leaves the cell. It goes through the Caribbean plate, which is a bone, and sends a signal to our brain that recalls a memory. And let's put in that last signal here. All right, friends, let's inhale and see how this thing works. And the molecule goes up past the cilia, gets absorbed by the slime patch, lands on the receptor of the transmembrane protein. The signal is sent, and it will soon trigger the G protein, which will shift the GDP for the GTP. Boom! Alpha unit of G protein breaks off, meets up with endonucleocyclase. Endonucleocyclase starts converting ATP into cyclic AMP, and the cell starts filling up with cyclic AMP, which lands on the protein kinsate. Once all 4 cyclic AMPs are on the protein kinsate, it breaks into 2. The ion channels open. Potassium spits into the cell. And once enough potassium spits into the cell, it will send a signal to the brain. The signal leaves the cell through and goes through the Caribbean plate and finally triggers the brain, and the brain is now going to recall when's the last time, a memory of the last time that molecule hit your nose. The brain is made up of a printer, and it is done because I drew a picture in pixels in this chest, and as it gets sorted here, each color goes to a different place, a different chest, and when a block moves through the hopper, it sends a signal to this command block, which sets that color block at the coordinate 470, 80, negative 161, which is right there. As you can see, it set the block there. And it takes a little while for the printer to print, but you'll see what the image is in just a second. Feel free to fast forward this part. And there it is. The molecule that we smell came from a pretty flower. I would like to thank John Brown especially. He taught me something that I learned in college and I forgot. And with his help, we've now made it to a place where you can teach junior high kids this. Thank you, Minecraft, and thank you, Joe Wise, and the Wildwood High School, and the Wizard Institute.